If you are having big feelings about President Trump's first few weeks in office, stay tuned. This video is for you. I'm Joelle, and I am on a mission to help you heal the past, be at peace in the present, and create a future you love so you can live your joy. Hi, my name is Joelle. I am the founder of Mind, Body, Soul. I am a yoga instructor, a Reiki master, and a life coach. And today might be my most unpopular video of all time, but we're going to do it anyway. I have had a lot of feelings since we have had the exchange of power in January. And I've noticed across most social media platforms that a lot of people have been having a lot of big feelings since this event has happened. And people are having feelings for multitudes of different reasons. And I'm not here to share with you my political views. I'm here to share with you what to do if you are having a lot of big emotions and big feelings since President Trump took office. So, number one to look at. First thing to look at. And can I be really blunt? Is that okay? I don't really care who you voted for. Okay? I just don't. Because that's not the conversation that I believe needs to happen. I believe the conversation that needs to happen with every American is, how can I be responsible for processing my own emotions about the past however many years, whatever you're holding on to, so that I can, with mental clarity and with groundedness, inform and make choices for my life. Right now, what I think is happening is we are witnessing such a massive, almost tornado of emotions from everybody in America, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, right? So much is happening. And all of these emotions are undealt with. And many Americans are choosing to act out of the emotional whiplash that they are holding on to, instead of taking personal responsibility to look inward before looking outward. That is, I believe, the work that needs to happen now. So, step number one, if you are willing. Again, now I'm going to be blunt with you. Most of you who watch this video, I don't think will actually be willing to do this, because it takes guts. It takes a lot of guts. I constantly am challenging myself to do this. And I continue to pick up that baton and do the thing, because this is my life's work. This is what I am passionate about. I 100% am passionate about for myself and for helping other people make peace with the past, live in the present in a powerful way, so that we can create and co-create a future that we genuinely love, that comes out of an authentic and grounded space. And you cannot do that. No one can. No one can create a future that they love unless they are willing to make peace and heal all of the past, all of that unresolved, incomplete emotional junk. If you know, there's a famous saying, and it is 100% true. What you don't heal, you repeat. Okay? What you don't heal, you will repeat. And even if the repetition, like the thing that we're repeating, is horrible. And this is where generational trauma comes from. This is where this concept of like generational curses comes from, where we will have families where, you know, and I think every family, mine included, right? We're all human, we're all imperfect, so we can all point to something in our families that applies to this. Right? Whether it's alcoholism, whether it's a lineage of some kind of disease, right? Whether it's a lineage of some kind of mental illness, whether it's a lineage of really, really just like bad relationships. Okay? What we don't heal from our lives, we will repeat. So this is, another example. If you were abused as a child, okay, whatever type of abuse, pick one, doesn't matter. If you were a victim of child abuse, if you are not willing to look at that and go through the process of healing and releasing, whether that's through a medication plan, whether that's through therapy, whether that's through, there's a million options, okay? If you aren't willing to do that, to go through that healing process, which totally blunt, it's scary, right? Looking at stuff that's happened in your life, every part of your ego will resist it. Your ego wants to be right, that little voice in your head, right? It will always want to be right. It will always try to distract you, and it will fight to the death to prevent you from doing a lot of this healing, okay? Because it's scary. And the job of that ego is to keep us safe. And so especially if stuff happens when we are young, even if it was one of the most horrible things that happened to us, even if we hated every moment of it, more often than not, we wind up repeating a lot of that behavior in our lives because it is unhealed, it is unresolved. And that might not look like abuse. It might manifest in alcoholism, right? It might manifest in other addictions. It might manifest in explosive emotional behavior, right? So I'm not saying that if you were abused as a child and you don't heal yourself, you're bound to abuse somebody else. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that unhealed stuff always manifests as other unhealed stuff until we are willing to take personal responsibility to get complete and to heal. And that is, I believe, the work of being human. That is the work of being here on this planet, is to constantly be in that process of healing, of stepping more and more into our authenticity and sharing that with the world. Okay? So much of what I've witnessed from my friends, my family, since President Trump has taken office, and really started before that, I'm not going to lie to you, I witnessed a lot of this in Trump's first term as president, then I witnessed a lot of it in Biden's. There's a lot of incomplete adults walking around in America right now. And when I say incomplete, I mean adults with big emotions who don't know how to get complete with themselves about what is going on in America so that they can function peacefully in the now. At the end of the day, in an ideal world, the ideal human, per se, maybe this is the Garden of Eden, okay? In the Garden of Eden, this is just a metaphor, right? In the Garden of Eden, in a perfect world, any adult would be able to have chaos going on around them and not be emotionally thrown off by what's going on around them. They would be able to recognize what comes up, process through it, and let it go, and move on to the next moment of handling what was in front of them. And what happens more often in our lives is that something happens, we feel emotions about it, those emotions are really uncomfortable, we don't know what to do with them, and so we either get big and angry with people and get frustrated and expect something outside of ourselves to help make us feel better, or we just kind of push all those uncomfortable emotions down and pretend that we're fine. And unfortunately, neither of them lead to a pleasant result. I could point to a million examples right now of people on both sides of the political spectrum who are being complete jerks to each other. I have heard people call each other everything from child experimentalist to Nazis. And by the way, I think it gives an unpopular opinion, one of many in this video, but to call someone a Nazi in today's world, I think completely disregards the horrors that happened in Nazi Germany and that real Holocaust survivors went through. That is, in my opinion, very inappropriate. But moving on. We have a lot of angry people who don't know what to do with their big emotions. Until we are willing to take responsibility for our emotions and look at them, examine for ourselves why we are feeling the way we are feeling, and let that go, only when we are at an emotional zero, when we are down at an emotionally peaceful place, can we communicate and effect change or effect communication in an effective way. That was a little bit redundant, but I think you get what I'm saying. When if you have kids, if your child is throwing a tantrum or they're really upset about something, there is no logic happening there, right? We all know that. If you have kids, you know that when your 2-year-old throws themselves on the floor and is kicking and screaming because the power went out and all of a sudden their favorite show turned off, there is no, in that moment, trying to explain to your 2-year-old, like, hey, the power went out, right? Let me explain to you logically why this makes sense, right? That's not going to happen, right? They're emotionally so consumed with the loss of their favorite show that they can't hear you. And folks, children are not any different than adults when it comes to this. We would like to think so, right? We would like to think that somehow we emotionally change as we get older. But the reality is that this part stays the same. When you are emotionally charged with something, you physically, like biologically, if you are in fight or flight, or you are feeling such a big angry emotion that you are consumed by it, biologically, it is impossible for you to think logically in that moment. It is impossible for you to not see the people trying to express reason to you as a threat, right? We all have heard of fight or flight, and I'll have to do another video about how biologically our bodies are affected by that and what happens to our ability to hear, our ability to rationalize. Like, I'll have to get into the nitty-gritty with that because I think it'll really help people understand that right now, I believe we have a population of adults who are in fight or flight, who are losing their minds because the emotions are high and emotions don't make sense. Okay? Emotions will never make sense. This is getting a little nerdy here on you guys. Biologically in our brains, so if you look at me with my crazy lioness hair right now, we have this part of the brain, right? Side fact, do you know that if you put your fists together like this, that actually is about the size of your brain? So we have our brain, right? It's in our heads. And there's layers to the brain. There's different parts. The crowning achievement of the Homo sapien is this thing called the neocortex. And that is where all of rational thought happens. Okay, the neocortex is largely what separates us from the animal species. It enables us to conceptualize things like tomorrow or yesterday. It enables us to plan. It enables us to rationally deduct. Okay, that all happens in the neocortex. Now, emotions happen in a different part of the brain. And it's kind of like tucked underneath, more inward of the brain. And the emotions happen in the limbic system of the brain and partially in the hippocampus as well. Two different parts of the brain, rationality and emotions. Now I want you to listen really hard and really clear here. The part of the brain that processes and feels, deals with emotions, does not connect to the part of the brain that understands logic. Okay, because of this, the part of the brain that deals with emotions does not have an understanding for language. Okay, this is why your dog can just be perpetually happy or sad all the time. And it doesn't need to understand language. Dogs don't have a neocortex like we do. in order to feel happy or feel sad or even feel hungry. Okay? So we have a lot of people right now feeling a lot of emotions. And a lot of people, because of those big emotions, going into states of fight or flight, going into states of high stress, high anger, high frustration. And when you have a mass population like this, all it does is increases the lack of rationality. Okay? When you're big and emotional, you don't understand logic. Right? Think about the last time that you were really upset about something. Right? I mean, I can think about the last time I was super upset and irritated about something, and I was not thinking logically in that moment. And I'm really, really grateful that, I'm not perfect, but over the years, I have learned that when I'm feeling really emotional, that I don't do anything. Nothing good happens when you take action on super big emotions. Nothing. I shouldn't say nothing, because someone's probably going to comment and be like, well,
what about X, Y, Z? I'm going to say
99% of the time. Okay? 99% of the time, nothing good happens when you are in a hyper emotional state and then you attempt to fix the problem, what you consider to be the problem. Okay? Most of the time when we do that, that's when we are mean, that's when we are nasty, that's when we disregard others. And worst of all, that is when we set the worst example for our children. That is when we say things and do things that we would never condone our children doing. And that's what I'm witnessing right now. I believe that the way out of this state of America has very little to do with changing anything outside of ourselves to start. Okay, because no government or political body is perfect. And whether you chose to vote for President Trump or not, I think all could sit back and recognize, or if you voted for President Biden or not, we could all sit back and recognize things that they did well and or are doing well, and other things that we might not like, right? And if we are a country that wants to be of the people, as we were founded, we are a country that wants to have a representation of the people in our government, the people, we all need to get our act together and deal with ourselves, myself included. I'll be really, really honest with you guys. These past weeks have been super interesting for me because I have really struggled, and normally I don't, totally honest. Normally when I read dumb stuff on social media, I don't struggle to just scroll past, right? Social media is like the toilet of America, and I know it's ironic for me to be saying that because this is going to go out on social media, but Facebook has become the epic way to take somebody else's uninformed opinions on a subject and get emotionally charged about them, which is absolutely ridiculous. So in the past, I haven't had trouble witnessing somebody saying things on social media and just scrolling past. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, they are 100% entitled to their opinion, the same way that I am. And I also know that whether or not what they are saying is quote unquote accurate, according to the facts, I am 100% sure that it is what they believe and what they are experiencing, right? And who am I to say that how they are feeling is not valid? Now, why they are feeling that way, I will never know. But, the past few weeks, it has been super challenging for me to not go to the place of correcting people on social media, especially when things are said that are just like what, right? Like, where did that even come from? Things that I know are not accurate, and also just, it's been hard as a coach. Sometimes it's hard to not go to that like high and mighty place of being like, we need to, you need to do better for your people or whatever, right? Like, None of that's helpful. None of that's helpful. What I do think we all need to shift, number one. So number one, if you're having big feelings about what has been going on over the past few weeks, or maybe you had big feelings for Biden's administration and now you're feeling different big feelings, right? Okay, cool. Right? Number one, take personal responsibility for how you are feeling and recognize that how you are feeling about something is a choice. Now, let me explain, because I can already hear some of you saying,
well, it's not my fault that I got angry about this, or I have the right to be angry about this, or whatever
it is. Yeah, sure. Okay. I have the right to be angry about this. Sure. Okay. So feel what you need to feel, but take personal responsibility to recognize that choosing to feel the big thing, number one, is not going to affect change anywhere. Number two, will not do anything for you beyond continue to feed your ego that, hey, look how right I am that I'm feeling justified in feeling this way. And number three, it will keep you trapped. Continuing to indulge big feelings beyond the event itself is self-sabotage. And in my opinion, a form of martyrdom. It's unnecessary. We are the only species on the planet that continues to suffer for something that happened one time. Like this happened, and then we choose to continue to suffer or choose to continue to feel big emotions about it. So step one, look at that and recognize, hey, I'm feeling a lot of big things, and maybe you're not ready to let it go. That's okay. But recognize that at any point you could. At any point you could choose to say, hey, I need to let this go. And maybe that looks like you call a friend and say, hey, I just have a lot of big things that I need to say to get out. Maybe that means for me, angry girl yoga, or angry girl rock music, that helps me a lot. If you come to my yoga classes, you're laughing right now, as you know, when I go into a class and I'm feeling a lot of things and I need to let it go. And that's okay. Those are wonderful ways to express big emotions that are personally responsible. There's plenty of times that I tell my kids when they're upset about something, like, okay, you're angry. Awesome. How do you want to be angry? Do you want to go stomp around in the backyard? Do you want to go roll around like a taco on your bed? Or whatever it is. Intentionally choose how you are going to express that emotion. Because one thing I know for sure, until an emotion is expressed and is given a voice, it will harbor. Harbored emotions cause sickness, mental and physical. And if you have any doubts, go do some studies on how stress affects the body. Harbored emotions result in resentment, and harbored emotions steal your best life from you. So number one, take personal responsibility. Choose and recognize how you're feeling. Acknowledge whether you're ready to let it go or not. If you're not, that's okay. That's personal responsibility right there. Hey, I'm ticked off about this and I'm not ready to let it go yet. All right, awesome. But work your way towards getting there. Be an active participant in your own growth journey. And I'll be, you guys know me. If you're not interested in growing personally or living your best life, my content's not for you. So if you want to be entertained and, watch silly cat videos for the rest of your life, that's cool. Like, do you. This isn't the place for you. Much love, and I will send you happily on your way. If you are interested in living your best life, if you are interested in living in peace and joy and love and freedom, I absolutely am for you. That's my commitment to my journey and my commitment in the content that I provide to you guys. And being an active participant in your journey is a million times necessary for that to happen. Love and peace and freedom are hard won. Those are things that take intentional growth and intentional practice to maintain. So that's step one. Step two, do the thing. Express how you need to express in a personally responsible way. Like I said, for me, a lot of times I'll do yoga. I'll call a friend. I talk to my life coach on the regular. I paint. Do what you need to do, and then choose to let it go. That's step 3. Choose to let it go. Your ego's not going to want to let it go. The ego in the back of your head is going to go, but, I want to be right about it. Your ego is going to want to be right. Your ego is going to want to call the person names or continue to grumble under your breath or, slam dunk the line to your friend on social media. That's what the ego does. And we don't want to demonize the ego. The ego is there for a reason. It's very important. It is there to keep you safe. I'll do a whole video about the ego at some point again. But the matured version of you, the version of you that is on your healing journey, is not your ego. Okay? The matured adult version of you is the one listening to your ego. And that is the person who is in charge. The matured adult version of you, the person who is choosing to take personal responsibility, that is the real you. It is not the crazy voice in your head. So you have the ability to say, hey, little voice, I hear you. And I got it. Those are your 3 steps. I'm just going to finish by saying, y'all, my best friend in the whole world, who I've known for nearly a decade, she voted differently than me in this past election. And I absolutely adore her. I admire her. And I say that all to say, at no point along the way did either of us even consider ending our friendship because we have different views on things. And at no point did it even change my opinion of her. And the reason that it did not is because I chose to give her the benefit of the doubt and assume, I know that can be dangerous, but I chose to give her the benefit of doubt and take on the belief that she probably has a good reason for doing what she's doing and that she's probably passionate about things that are different from me. And that's okay. That is what America is made of. America is made of citizens who believe differently about a lot of different things. And because of that, when we act in our strength, it is our greatest weapon. When we act in weakness, it is the thing that will tear us apart. Let me know in the comments below, how are you feeling about what is going on? And more than that, I would love to see some I'm feeling X statements. I really, like I said, I don't care who you voted for, and I'm not really interested in hearing why your ego is right about any views at all. What I'm interested in hearing is, hey, I'm feeling this about this and it's disheartening for me. Or, hey, I'm feeling a victory here because I was feeling this and I let it go this way. And as always, if you want support, if you are feeling like, hey, Joelle, this feels like a lot for me and I would really like a one-on-one to let go of some junk, I am here for that. If you would like to work with me, I will put the link in the comment below. Reach out. I cannot wait to chat with you. I cannot wait to hear from you. And always, much love.